I'm a doctor working in the UK, but I'm also someone that enjoys lifting weights and running a fair amount too. So I'm always thinking about how I can get the most from my training, and a big part of that is what I'm consuming. Normally in the form of food, but occasionally in the form of supplements too. But if you haven't noticed, the world of health and fitness supplements is incredibly confusing. So in this video I'm hoping to use my unique position as a doctor with over 10 years worth of lifting experience to try and cut through the crap and identify which supplements might actually be worth their price tags. So the first and only supplement that I take every single day without fail is caffeine, and that's primarily in the form of coffee or tea. Nice. And aside from its well-known role as a stimulant, there is also some evidence suggesting that caffeine actually improves athletic performance, especially when performing endurance exercise or doing large numbers of reps to failure. And when consumed in the form of coffee, there is also some data suggesting that it's good for your heart and gut health, possibly related to the fermentation process that the coffee bean's gone through. But like most people, I'm not drinking coffee for the athletic performance benefit that it may or may not give me. I'm drinking it because I'm mildly dependent on it to get me through a day of work. But I guess my morning coffee does give me a little bounce and energy, and is especially useful when I'm doing a morning run to get the bowels moving beforehand. So I guess that does come under the performance bracket. But in all seriousness, what I don't do is take synthetic pre-workouts which contain caffeine, mainly because I get plenty of the active ingredient in those pre-workouts from my coffee consumption. But also because for the most part, you're paying a premium for the brand and at best a superficial pump, rather than any magic combination of ingredients which actually have any relevance to sporting performance. But hey, we all have our own vices, and I pay the YouTuber James Hoffman 30 quid a month for the privilege of drinking his special beans. So who am I to judge? But next up is my second most regularly consumed supplement, and that is protein powders. And although not a particularly original tool in my training arsenal, my view on these supplements has definitely changed since I've become a practicing doctor, so I think I've got a different perspective on it than most. Everyone knows that protein is an absolute requirement if you're wanting to build muscle and recover, and it's probably the first bit of wisdom that I learned from YouTube when I started lifting weights as a 15-year-old. But what is harder to figure out is how best to consume that protein. You only need to do a quick scroll down the protein tab on your favourite supplement manufacturer's website to see the huge variety of different products that they're selling. There's whey protein isolate, whey protein impact, diet whey protein, casein protein, BCAAs, vegan protein, clear protein, you get the picture. But what it took me years to figure out is that it just doesn't really matter. The only two things that I need to know about protein and performance as someone that regularly trains is that 1, I should try and get between 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight each day, and 2, I should try and get this protein from a variety of different sources. So as long as my diet contains a good balance of lentils and beans and nuts and seeds and dairy and meat and fish, it doesn't really matter what form that last 20% of my daily protein intake comes from if I do choose to use a supplement. It's easy to focus too much on the detail and lose track of the bigger picture. When I was younger, I used to have protein powders twice a day religiously, but what I now realise is that they were just a bit of a sticking plaster for my drab diet, and I got my priorities all mixed up. I've said it before, but in the Western world, we're far more likely to be deficient in micronutrients and fibre than we are to be deficient in protein, because we don't eat enough vegetables and eat far too much ultra-processed food. And these things are equally, if not more important for your recovery and overall health than the exact makeup of your protein intake. But to expand on the whole micronutrient thing, people often ask me in the comments whether or not they should be taking a multivitamin pill or a mineral replacement tablet. And I just kind of go, for the same reason, because I think their focus would be better spent elsewhere. We're becoming increasingly aware of how eating a predominantly whole food diet, rich in plants and ferments and animal products in moderation, has a whole range of health benefits and serves up all the essential vitamins and minerals your body needs, in a way it can also easily absorb them. It's obviously going to be a different story if you're someone that suffers from or is at high risk of a severe nutritional deficiency, because of either limited access to food or a disease process that stops your body being able to absorb all the micronutrients it needs. And there's a handful of use cases where otherwise healthy people might benefit from a vitamin supplement. So folic acid in pregnancy, B12 in vegans, or a bit of vitamin D over the winter months. But for most other cases, just eat your flipping vegetables. But returning from that tangent back to protein supplements, I now only use these a handful of times each month to merely top up what I've been eating through my normal meals. And I just use a bog standard whey protein isolate. You know, the crap left over from the cheesemaking industry. usually with a chocolate flavouring to make it slightly more palatable. Right, so next in my bag of supplements is creatine, and this is one of the few supplements with a really strong evidence base actually demonstrating positive effects on athletic performance. Regular creatine supplementation has been proven to increase maximal effort muscle strength, work capacity, and also improve recovery. And although you can get it naturally through your diet, to achieve the 5-gram daily dose, which is one of the most commonly recommended maintenance doses, you need to be eating over 1 kilogram of beef each day, hence why taking a supplement is often far more practical. And I'm ashamed to say that this is a supplement I've been neglecting my entire life and have never really taken before. And I don't really have a good reason why other than laziness, because it's been around for decades. A few years ago when I was at my peak strength as a powerlifter, before I started running, I deadlifted 240 kilograms and squatted over 200 kilograms, all whilst having never touched this cheap and effective over-the-counter powder. And it's only actually in making this video that I've been motivated to go out and buy a pack of creatine and try it out. So what you can expect is a video in the next month or two summarising my experience with creatine, and probably also one of those sick powerlifting montages as I test whether or not I actually experience any significant strength gains. But as far as my own supplement stack, well, that's pretty much everything. And I know that that might seem a little underwhelming, especially when the My Protein website has several hundred other products that they're trying to sell you that I haven't even touched upon. But I guess what this reflects is my own feeling that there are very few performance supplements out there that it's worth the average lifter or active person even taking. I'm a medical doctor and I don't claim to have any specialist knowledge of sports or nutrition, and I don't have my finger on the pulse of all the latest innovations in the world of performance supplements. But as someone with at least a bachelor's level of understanding of the scientific method, there is at least that healthy skepticism towards any miracle claims about supplements that I've never even heard of. As you all know, it doesn't take much time scrolling through Instagram or TikTok to come across another jacked-looking influencer who's attributing all their strength and fitness gains to a magic mushroom powder or other random fitness product. And it's important to remember that anecdotal evidence from your favourite influencer is the lowest form of evidence in the pyramid. And that's not to say that every person trying to sell a supplement online that you've never heard of is intentionally lying to you. It's just that one person's experience of a product in isolation has next to no relevance to how that product affects someone else, and that's assuming that they're being sincere in the first instance. Rigorous scientific research is needed to differentiate real measurable and repeatable results from placebo effects, and that takes lots of money and many years to achieve. So that's not to say that just because a product has a lack of evidence, it 100% doesn't work in the way that it's advertised to. It just means that we don't know yet. And it's probably worth holding off that monthly subscription on endurance boosting mushrooms for a little bit longer until we do. What I've tried to do is stay focused on the idea that it's hard work, a balanced diet and consistency above all else that brings progress in the gym or with your fitness, rather than any specific brands. Certain supplements might be worth it for fitness enthusiasts like me looking for a little edge, but don't feel like you've been left behind if you'd rather save your cash. I'm a realistic example of someone that's been able to build strength and muscle, largely fueled by a good diet, the occasional protein shake, and okay, frankly, a lot of coffee. And that's a very different situation from elite athletes or bodybuilders who are looking for every single little edge that they can to give them a one-up against their competition, and are willing to take a bunch of risks or placebos, fully appreciating that they might not work or may even be harmful. But that doesn't mean that you or I have to follow suit. So in summary, eat protein, don't forget your vegetables, drink lots of coffee, and consider creatine. And as I'm saying that, I'm realising it probably could have been a short. But otherwise, I guess the only thing left to tell you is that when I do bring out my own bullshit supplement in a few years' time, I'll be definitely deleting this video. But if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more like it, and I'll see you again next time.